Hi, I'm Freddie Bosshard, a cookery instructor here at Angliss Institute, a renowned specialist centre for foods, tourism and hospitality education in Melbourne. As you can imagine, we're pretty fussy about the products we use here. That's why only the highest standards will do. This is the reason why we've chosen Formula 40 as our one and only frying oil. The guys at Peerless have been in business for over 60 years and they understand the needs of chefs to deliver exactly what we need every time. So why Formula 40? Well, it has a higher smoke point than most of the other oils. It's cottonseed based, that means the smoking point sits at around 200 degrees, which locks in the flavors and seals the food a lot faster. So if you're cooking calamari, tempura veg, normal vegetables, you can enjoy the natural flavors of the food rather than masking it up with the flavors of the oil. Formula 40 has a mid-level saturated fatty acid content, so it offers the perfect balance. Saturated enough, so it's more stable than most of the other cooking oils. And because of this, Formula 40 lasts longer than most of the other deep frying oils on the market. That means less labor-intensive oil changes and more premium deep frying. Obviously, as chefs, it's our job to make mouth-watering dishes time and time again. Formula 40's neutral taste means we're celebrating the natural flavors of the food every time. In fact, chefs from leading Australian restaurants agree Formula 40 has set the standards for oils in Australia. In terms of nutrition, good news. Because of Formula 40's cottonseed oil blend, it's plant-based and cholesterol-free. It's virtually trans fat-free, which means a healthier option for your hungry customers. We're living in a multicultural world and Formula 40 caters for all. That's why it's kosher and halal approved. Thanks to its light, non-oily consistency, Formula 40 is also a great complement for stir-fries, spring rolls, wontons and other Asian stir-fried foods. Unlike some other frying oils, Formula 40 doesn't deteriorate if used at high temperatures. Plus it has antifoam, which extends its fry life. That's why it's often considered the workhorse of a commercial kitchen. In terms of value for money, you can't top Formula 40. Its high smoke point, stability and long fry life means it doesn't have to be changed as often. So not only we save on oil costs, we save on labour too. After all, premium quality product is what our reputation depends on. That's why we chose exclusively to work with Formula 40.
Hi, I'm Lyman, a professional cookery instructor here at Angiss, a specialty centre for foods, hospitality and tourism education in Melbourne. Getting the temperature just right is vital for a good end product. If the temperature's too low, the food's going to absorb all the oil and you're going to end up with a big greasy mess, just like this. And if the temperature's too high, you're going to end up with a product that's burnt on the outside and raw in the middle, just like this chicken Kiev. To get the food cooked just right, or cook the food perfectly, you need to set the temperature to suit the food you're cooking. The temperature is going to range between 160 to 190 degrees Celsius. The onion rings should be fried at 180 degrees Celsius. Frying vegetable crisps, you need to cook them at 150 to 160 degrees. Apple fritters, cook those at 180 to 185 degrees Celsius. Battered and crumbed fish, cook them at 170 to 175, and to get a chicken breast cooked all the way through with even colour, fry at 170 degrees Celsius. The Japanese crumbed prawns at 180 degrees Celsius. You can finish off the pork belly at 190 degrees Celsius, and to flash fry potato chips, you'll need a temperature of 180 degrees Celsius. Okay, when we're heating the oil from scratch, don't raise the temperature too quickly, just turn it up a little bit by a little bit. If you turn it up too quickly, it'll actually shorten the life of the oil. It's important to remember that the thermostat on the deep fryer may not always be accurate. So it's a good idea to once a week, just check the temperature with a laser thermometer. Okay, now we're ready to cook some perfect crispy chips. A good ventilation system is essential for removing the steam. Be careful though, you don't want one that's too low. If it's too low, condensation could drip into the fryer. Okay, and there we go, perfect crispy potato chips. Make sure we season them. Remember that if you leave your deep fryer at a hot temperature for a long period of time, the oil will deteriorate really quickly. We need to keep our fryer on most of the time during service, but if it's not in constant demand, just turn it down to 100 to 120 degrees Celsius, and when you need it, turn it back up to the correct temperature. By using an oil with anti-foam like Formula 40, you'll get a lot longer fry life out of the oil. So let's dig in and have some chips. There's an art to creating perfect fried food from your fryer every time. It comes down to picking the right size fryer for the job. Firstly, the vat shouldn't be too large. If it's too big, the oil will slowly deteriorate, and that means a waste of oil, money and food. Secondly, it's important that your fryer returns to the correct temperature quickly. When you pop food into the oil, take these prawn twists for example, if your fryer's not up to scratch, the temperature will drop. It won't regain its heat, and you'll end up with a soggy, greasy product. The ideal ratio is 1 part food to 6 parts oil. Whether it be prawns, vegetables or fish, the last thing you want to do is overload your deep fryer basket. Now to frozen food. When it comes to frozen food, there's a slightly different rule. You need to cook less at one time so the temperature of the oil doesn't drop. Thanks, Derek. To make sure that your food is cooked evenly, it's important that all of the food in the one basket should be of similar size. For example, you wouldn't put chicken Kiev in the same basket as French fries. Larger items of food, you'll need to turn the deep fryer down so that they cook through evenly. The last thing you want is the food to be burnt on the outside and raw in the middle. All right, now we're going to talk about keeping our oil clean. It's really important during service to skim the oil regularly. You need to skim it to get rid of all of these particles of carbonised food. If they fall into the deep fryer, they're going to actually get on your product. And then at the end of service, we're going to need to clean our fryer thoroughly. To make sure your oil's clean, you're going to need to filter the oil. To filter the oil properly, you'll need a filtering system. Some fryers come with a built-in filtering system. There are portable filtering systems. There's also, you can use a conical strainer with some filter paper. When the fry is cold or the oil's cold, you can put it through the filter paper, and then when the fry's been cleaned, you can pour the oil back into the fryer. Whichever way you decide to filter, you'll need to filter every day, and in really busy establishments, you might have to filter after every service. If you find any gum deposits around your fryer or the basket, it's really important to move them straight away. If you don't, it can cause oxidisation, and it can also be really stubborn to remove if you leave it. All right, this oil has now reached the end of its life, so we're going to need to remove the oil and clean the deep fryer. So we need to remember that we must have the deep fryer cold, so it's important that it's been turned off and it's cold. And remove the baskets. Take away the element. And remember to dispose of your oil responsibly. Right, I've just given this a really good wash with hot water and detergent and a really good rinse. And I've wiped it out with paper towel to make sure it's really dry. It's really important that you rinse out any detergent. If you don't, that'll cause foaming of your oil, which will cause deterioration and you get less life out of your oil. And now we're ready to fill up our fryer with fresh Formula 40. And we'll be ready to cook again.
So let's start with the don'ts. Never salt food before frying or over the deep fryer. Make sure your deep fryer is 100% clean. Even the tiniest bit of soap or detergent can cause early foaming. Avoid using brass or copper utensils. Stainless steel is best. And trying to keep your food as dry as possible. You don't want icicles like this. Before you deep frying crumbed foods, make sure you shake off any excess coating. You don't want breadcrumbs floating in your oil. They'll burn and deteriorate your oil long term. And now on to the do's. Make sure that the temperature of your deep fryer is where it needs to be before you start cooking. And check your overhead extraction fans regularly that they're on to avoid moisture buildup and therefore water dropping back into your deep fryer. And if you want to get the most out of your oil, then drain your foods over the deep fryer. Make sure you discard your oil as soon as it smokes or foams up. That means it's at the end of its usable life. Working with smoking or foaming oil produces poor quality of food, but most importantly, it's a potential fire hazard. And if you're unsure if your oil is at this stage, you can test it with a Peerless oil tester kit. As you can see, this Formula 40 after use is still in good condition. And here's another do of deep frying. When cooking hand-cut wedges, soak and drain them well before using. Then only fry them in small amounts for best results. And you'll end up with golden wedges like these. I know what you're thinking. How hard can it be to cook chips? But there's a real skill of cooking great chips that'll make people come back for seconds. For crispy golden fries, always cook from frozen. Letting them thaw makes for uneven texture and colour, and you most likely get a frozen bit in the middle while they're cooked on the outside. See those loose ice crystals? Get rid of them before frying. Set the temperature of your fryer first, and then fill your basket out of the oil halfway maximum. Once you've done that, bring it over the oil and lower it slowly into the deep fryer and set the timer. 4 minutes for that amount of chips will do. For even frying, give the basket a little bit of a shake every now and then. I wouldn't recommend blanching or pre-cooking your chips. They'll end up burnt or far too oily. Now these are perfect chips. Golden on the outside, crunchy on the edges, and perfectly soft in the middle. That's it for today, guys. If you'd like even more reasons why Formula 40 is our preferred choice, please check out peerlessfoods.com.au.